Hello and welcome to Eat Well. I'm going to be telling a couple of stories today about food and eating, and these are kid-friendly stories, and they're also going to have some participation in them. So as always, you can participate at home, and I will feel your good vibes and know that you are with me. So this first story that I'm going to tell comes from the country of Turkey, and it's a story about a man named Nasruddin Hoja. His name was Nasruddin Hoja. As a title, it means teacher, and in that part of the world, they tell a lot of stories about Nasruddin. They're wonderful. You can look them up sometime. And Nasruddin is a character, a type of character who is a wise fool. And so sometimes he does things that are very wise, and he is a wonderful example to the rest of us of how we should behave. And other times he does things that are very foolish, and he's a better example of what not to do. I will leave it up to you to decide whether Nasruddin is being wise or foolish in the story of the hungry coat. Nasruddin had already had a long day. That morning, he had gone into town with his son to teach his son how to ride a donkey. In the middle of the day, he went home to have lunch. He and his wife got in an argument, and she dumped a bowl of soup over his head. In the afternoon, he went back into town, and he ended up helping a friend of his catch a runaway goat. It had been a long day. Now, when Nasruddin had set out that morning, he had just put on some ordinary work clothes. His old, worn, kind of dingy turban that had once been white but was not white anymore. His ragged shoes and his coat that was just covered in patches. And now, after the day he had had, well, he was kind of dirty and dusty, and honestly, he smelled a little of the animals that he had been interacting with. And he suddenly realized, he remembered that he was supposed to go to a party, a dinner party at his good friend's house. Now, the thing was that when the friend invited Nasruddin to this party, he had kind of teased him about how he was always late to things. And Nasruddin had promised him that he was going to be on time to this party. Well, if Nasruddin was going to get to the party on time at this point, he would have to go straight there. He didn't have time to go home and wash up and change. But he thought, well, that's no problem. So he went straight to his friend's house. He knocked on the door and his friend answered, and Nasruddin was so happy to see his friend, he almost didn't notice that his friend didn't seem that happy to see or smell him. But the friend invited him inside, and then Nasruddin was so happy to be at this party, he almost didn't notice that whenever he walked over and joined a group of people, one by one, they made excuses to walk away and stand somewhere else. But then he couldn't help but notice that when dinner was served, everybody else was seated around a long table that had lots of food on it, and Nasruddin was seated by himself at a little table with no food in another room. He sat there all alone thinking, they wouldn't even notice if I left. And then he thought, yeah, why don't I just leave? So he did. He stood up, left the friend's house, he walked home, and that could have been the end of it. But then Nasruddin got an idea. He filled up his bathtub with warm water and good smelling bubbles. He got into the bath and he scrubbed until his skin shone. And then when he got out, he put on his crispest, whitest turban, the one with the big ruby set in it. And he put on his fanciest shoes, the ones with the toes that pointed up toward heaven. And he put on his finest red silk coat, the one with the gold threads running through it. And this time, as he walked through town, people bowed low with respect because they could see that he was someone important. He got back to the friend's house and knocked on the door again. This time when the friend answered, "Oh, Nasruddin!" he was so happy to see him. He invited him inside. He had him sit at a place of honor at the table. And then he urged the guests to begin passing food to Nasruddin so he could eat. Well, first, they passed him a big bowl of rice. And Nasruddin, he took a spoonful of rice, but instead of dumping it onto his plate, he opened up his coat and poured the rice inside. Then he closed his coat, he patted it. "Eat well, my friend, eat well." Now that is something that Nasruddin is going to be saying a lot. So that is a great place for you to help me. All you have to do is pat your coat and say, "Eat well, my friend, eat well." All right, and there's another thing that I need your help with. I need to know what else they had to eat at this party. So you can just shout out your ideas. Shout out what you think they were eating at this party. Let's see, I think I heard pizza. I think they had pizza at this party. So the guests passed the pizza down to Nasruddin. He took a slice of pizza. He opened up his coat. He put the pizza inside, closed the coat and patted it, and you know what he said. "Eat well, my friend. Eat well." All right, what else did they have to eat at this party? Yes, I think you're right. I think they had some carrots. So, the other guests, they passed some carrots down to Nasruddin, and he got a big scoop of carrots. He opened up his coat, dumped the carrots inside, closed the coat. You know what he said. "Eat well, my friend. Eat well." All right, what else did they have to eat at the party? Yeah, I think they had some chicken. So they passed the chicken down to Nasruddin. He got a chicken leg, opened up his coat, stuck that chicken leg inside, closed the coat. "Eat well, my friend. Eat well." And then I think they had some sweets at this party too. What do you think? What did they have maybe that was sweet? Maybe some ice cream. So they passed the ice cream down to Nasruddin. He got a great big scoop, opened up his coat, put that scoop of ice cream inside, closed the coat. "Eat well, my friend. Eat well." And then a servant came over to bring Nasruddin a drink. What do you think they had to drink at the party? Yeah, I think maybe they had some juice, some grape juice. So the servant asked Nasruddin if he would like some grape juice, and Nasruddin said that he would, but he did not hold out his glass for the servant. He opened up his coat, and the servant was not sure what to do because he had never poured grape juice into somebody's coat before, but also Nasruddin was a very wise and respected teacher, and he couldn't tell him no. So the servant, glug, 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 poured the grape juice into Nasruddin's coat. And he closed it, and this time he said, "Drink well. Drink well, my friend. Drink well." And by this time, Nasruddin's coat, it was full of food and liquids, and it was stained and it was squelchy, and his friend who was hosting the party, he had had enough. He jumped up. "Nasruddin, what are you doing?" "Well, when I came to this party in my old coat that was covered in patches, nobody wanted to talk to me. Nobody wanted to sit near me. There was no food for me. But when I returned to the party in my finest red silk coat with the gold threads running through it, then everyone wanted to talk to me. Everyone wanted to sit near me. There was plenty of food for me. And so I think it must have been the coat that was invited to the party, and not me. The host and the other guests, they thought for a moment, and then they apologized to Nasruddin for the way they had treated him. They assured him that he was the one they wanted at the party. And then the host asked the other guests to start passing the food again. And he told Nasruddin that this time he should eat it himself. So that is the story of the hungry coat. And you can feel free to tell me in the comments, or you can share this story with family and friends and then talk it over with them about whether you think Nasruddin was being wise or foolish in that story. Now, before we move on, I have just another very short story about Nasruddin that I'd like to share just because it amuses me. And it does have not eating in it, but drinking, so it still works. Now, the Nasruddin stories also, they're kind of like the Jack stories in that maybe you can decide for yourself if you really think that it's the same person in all of the stories, or maybe it's a different person with different names in these stories. So, once Nasruddin was sitting in a tea shop when one of his former students came running in. He came and sat down with him at the table. "Oh, Hoja, I have the most wonderful news. I have just proposed to a young woman and she has accepted and we are engaged to be married." And Nasruddin looked at his student. "Oh, certainly, that is wonderful news. Congratulations." The student sat there for a moment. "Hoja, why is it that you have never gotten married?" Yes, I did think of marrying, and I went in search of the perfect woman. I traveled far and wide, and I met a woman whose beauty was incomparable. Oh, but she wasn't very smart. And then I continued my travels, and I found a woman who was beautiful and she was smart, but she had no sense of humor. And then I traveled farther still. I met a woman who was beautiful and smart and funny. She was the perfect woman. And then Nasruddin stopped talking. He stopped talking for so long that the student prompted him, "Well, Hoja, surely you married her." Nasruddin took a sip of his tea. Alas, she was looking for the perfect man. So, I encourage you to look up the Nasruddin Hoja stories for yourself. There's many, many wonderful stories, often with humor in them. Now, for my next story, going to a different part of the world. This next story is called Gecko Can't Sleep. It comes from Bali, and I learned it from Margaret Reed MacDonald's book of Earth Tales, which I've borrowed from before. And I like that it has kind of a positive earth message about things being connected, but also it is just a fun story to tell to kids because it really hits on some things that kids love talking and laughing about. And this is another one where I could use your help telling the story. So there's a gecko in this story, and I wonder if you know what noise a gecko makes, because I didn't know, and I'm still not sure that I do know, but in this story, the gecko says his name. He says it like this. Gecko, gecko, gecko. And that's what I can use your help with. So whenever he is shouting out his name, just say it 3 times. And I'll let you know and you can jump in and help me. One night, Chief was sleeping peacefully in his bed when outside of his window he heard, you can do it with me, gecko, gecko, gecko. The chief went over to his window and looked out. Gecko, what is it? Chief, there are fireflies outside of my home, turning their lights on and off, on and off, on and off, and I can't sleep. You're the chief. You gotta do something about this. Chief looks down at Gecko. All right, I'll talk to the fireflies in the morning. In the meantime, just go home and try to get some sleep. So Gecko walked home sadly. You can say it with me here too. Gecko, gecko, gecko. In the morning, Chief went to talk to the fireflies. Fireflies, are you flying around outside of Gecko's house at night, turning your lights on and off, on and off, on and off? Yes, we are doing that, but it's because late in the day, Buffalo leaves large piles of poo in the road. And we're just trying to light the way so that anyone who is traveling at night doesn't accidentally step in the buffalo poo. Huh. That sounds useful. You should keep doing that. Yes, thank you. We will keep doing that. And Chief thought the problem was solved. But that night, as he was sleeping in his bed, outside his window, you know what he heard. Gecko, gecko, gecko. Chief went to his window. Gecko, what is it? Chief, the fireflies are still outside of my home, turning their lights on and off, on and off, on and off, and I can't sleep. Ah, yes, Gecko. I spoke to the fireflies, and it turns out that late in the day, Buffalo leaves piles of poo in the road. And the fireflies are just lighting the way so that nobody accidentally steps in the buffalo poo. Well, then talk to Buffalo. You're the chief. You gotta do something about this. Okay, Gecko. I will talk to Buffalo in the morning. In the meantime, just go home and try to get some sleep. So Gecko walked home sadly. Gecko, gecko, gecko. In the morning, Chief went to talk to Buffalo. Buffalo, I hear that you are leaving piles of poo in the road. Yes, I am doing that. But you see, rain washes holes in the road, and I am filling in the holes so that nobody steps in them and breaks their leg. Huh. That sounds useful. You should keep doing that. Thank you. I will keep doing that. And Chief thought that the problem was solved. But that night, as he was sleeping in his bed, outside of his window, he heard, Gecko, gecko, gecko. Chief went to his window. Gecko, what is it? Chief, the fireflies are still outside of my home, turning their lights on and off, on and off, on and off. Okay. Yes, I talked to Buffalo, and it turns out that rain washes holes in the road, and Buffalo is just filling in the holes so that no one steps in them and breaks their leg. Well, Chief, you gotta talk to Rain. You're the chief, you gotta do something about this. Okay, Gecko, I will talk to Rain in the morning. In the meantime, just go home and try to get some sleep. So Gecko walked home sadly. Gecko, Gecko, Gecko. In the morning, Chief went to talk to Rain. Rain, I hear that you have been washing holes in the road. Yes, that is true. You see, I wash holes in the road and then the holes fill up with water and the mosquitoes like to live in those puddles. And you know who likes to eat mosquitoes, right? Chief thought about it. Doesn't Gecko eat mosquitoes? Yes, that's right. Gecko eats mosquitoes. I think you probably better keep washing those holes in the road. Yes, thank you. I will do that. Now, really this time, Chief thought that the problem was solved. But that night, while he was sleeping in bed, outside of his window he heard, Gecko, Gecko, Gecko. The Chief looked out his window. Gecko, what is it? Ah, Chief! The fireflies are still outside of my home, turning their lights on and off, on and off, on and off, and I can't sleep. I thought you were going to talk to Rain. Oh, Gecko, I did talk to Rain. I did. And Rain washes holes in the road, and the holes fill up with water, and then mosquitoes like to live in the puddles. And you know who likes to eat mosquitoes, right? I do. I like to eat mosquitoes. And Gecko thought about it. And, well, if Rain didn't wash holes in the road, then Buffalo wouldn't have to fill the holes in with buffalo poo, and then the fireflies wouldn't have to flash their lights outside of his home every night. But if Rain didn't wash holes in the road, then there wouldn't be any mosquitoes for him to eat. He looked up at Chief. I can live with the fireflies. And then Gecko went home, and he went to sleep. That is the end. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you all will eat well and share stories that fill us all up.